Welcome, ladies, to the portion. Can you believe it's Friday again? Oh my gosh. Let me get my camera turned on here. It's the portion. Can you believe it?
Yay.
Can you believe it's time? I can't believe we're here again, ladies. I just love that you're all here. All of you on Facebook, everyone here in Zoom. It is not too late to join in with us, Zoom. We will let you in. Remember that if you do come in on Zoom, after we're done with the study and we shut off on Facebook and we turn off recording, we do hang out for about a half hour later for the after party, which, I mean, come on. Sometimes I think that's my favorite part, not, so don't feel bad, but that's sometimes we have some of the best talks. It's kind of fun. It's just us, nobody's recording, so it's kind of cool, right?
Great.
Great. Brenda, how are you this morning?
I'm great. I am so happy to be here.
Happy anniversary. Happy 37th.
Thank you.
37
Thank you. Yeah,
years.
yesterday was our 37th wedding anniversary, so we are starting to get a hang of it, starting to figure out a few things.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you finally, maybe
I know.
Maybe you stay with him. You're not deciding. You're not,
No,
not today.
I think I'm going to keep him.
Yeah, he's a keepers.
Mhm.
Keepers.
He's definitely a keeper.
Oh my gosh, you guys, this is such a great day. I mean, really.
On Hanukkah last night, okay, so with the candles all lit, it was so beautiful. It was just.
Don't you love the last night? I mean, I feel like I love it. I do. I just love the last night. It's fun.
And it was the new moon last night too, so it was like a double whammy.
Yeah, I know there's a few people had celebrated the new moon the other night before last. I know that the girls in Knoxville had a big pajama party. I was super jealous. We were supposed to go, but we had life, life, his will be done. His will be done. Meh, meh, but meh.
Yeah.
And especially I think during COVID, we just kind of want to be around the girls. Now, speaking of being around the girls, nice segue. I've had several of you ask, okay, for example, we had one of you that just recently won the 1-year subscription. You won for the Hanukkah, Nights of Hanukkah, the trivia. You won a whole year free in the Rooted Cafe. I mean, that's like, the Rooted Cafe is, and she was like, so now exactly what is the cafe? Like, what did I win? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you because you don't even know how amazing what you just won is. So, right, all the ladies here on Zoom shaking your heads. We are an online messianic. What do we want to call this, Brenda? Every time I change it,
educational platform
thingy. We're an education thingy.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. So we actually
have a group of girls getting together and partying all the time. That's what it is.
Don't tell anybody. So we have the Rooted Cafe was started. It was actually, the portion was started around my kitchen table in San Diego, just getting around studying the portion, and Brenda zooming in with us around the kitchen table there in San Diego. And now it has grown, obviously, to all of you ladies from all over the world, every corner. We're so blessed. And then out of the portion birthed the Rooted Cafe. It was like we needed not just Fridays, right? We needed one more thing. We needed a place to learn some things that we might talk about on Fridays. We needed a place to maybe learn some little things, like we have a Hebrew alphabet course, which, by the way, Brenda, holy moly, is it the best course ever? We have things like Gail Heaton's idiom class, which teach us about idioms.
Love it.
We have every month we have new courses dropping. Misty's putting a course together for us right now. It's so exciting. We have Only Love putting a course together, only women. We minister to the women. We have Deborah Flanagan who's working on some things. We have summits coming up. I mean, it is amazing. So inside there, you get a separate private community. So it's smaller than in here. You have access to all of us, all of the instructors, all the contributors in a Facebook group and outside of Facebook as well. We have a Slack channel, so we're all in there chatting and talking, and it's a way to build community. But also inside there, you have a weekly word, you have the weekly Parsha points, there's so much stuff. So there's a lot. So it's basically a membership subscription that you get in there and you get to learn the Hebrew roots of your faith. Is that a good way to put it?
I think so.
Yeah. Hey, guess what, too? The end of this month we are ending the first month half off. So if you were thinking about doing it and you want to even just try us for a month, this is the good time to do it. It's half off. It's $24.95 a month. And then so you get half off your first month if you join us in December before next Friday. Yay. Kind of cool. I was looking at some other like Bill Cloud, and I was looking at some other places, First Fruits of Zion, and it was fun looking at the stuff. They also have similar things, but theirs are a little different. You just get a percentage off if you're a member instead of getting all the things for free. So I'm just telling you, I think we're pretty amazing. Plus, we're just men and we get to know each other better.
Right.
Super fun. Super fun this week. Wow, there is a lot in this. Can I just say there's a lot in this Parsha? I mean, I know I say this every week. I say this every week. But there's a lot. I mean, I wrote down this. We go through forgiveness, trust, reconciliation, provision, redemption, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's a lot packed into one little Parsha, right? Misty, I see her nodding. What say you, Brenda?
Yeah, it's a lot. It is. It's a cycle. It's like the cycle of life. Oh, I hear a Simba song coming. Sorry, that's just me.
We have grandbabies.
So I think for me, the biggest thing is that what's stirring in my heart is that this Torah portion, we always talk about layers. So there's always layers, and there's layers on layers and layers. And every year that we read this Torah portion, you're going to just be in that layer. You're going to be in that layer. I'm just telling you. And sometimes that layer is going to be, you're going to be seeing the hardships of it all. You're going to be seeing the pain of it, the agony, the broken relation. You're going to be seeing all of that. There's another layer that you're going to be seeing, which is kind of like where you're looking ahead going, Father, in order for us to get where we're going, we have to go through this. This is the portal that we all have to go through in order to get where we're going. In order to become who you've called us to be, we have to go through these things. And not only go through them, but we, year after year, we get a chance to do it better. Yes. I mean, is he so gracious?
Yes.
He teaches us through the hardships of we get to be in the middle of what was happening with the patriarchs here. We get to see that. And then we get to live our real life right here, right now, going, oh my gosh, right. I'm in the middle of this too.
Right? Yes.
Now you're showing us how to get from here to there, how to do it right, how to do it wrong. We get lots of examples of how to do it wrong.
But it's all good.
It's all good.
Because it teaches us how to do it not that way.
Because in real life, what happens? In real life, we don't always do it like perfectly. The first 37 years worth.
Oh,
I
am the hard way girl. I am the learn it the hard way girl. And
yeah,
so
me too.
I love that they give us the examples of the hard way.
Yeah.
In here, so I don't feel alone. So thanks for you shaking. I just want to say a quick hello to the people that are in live Zoom with us: Misty and Kathy and Pietra and Ainagul and Nitsa and Carol and Sydney and Jennifer and Tina and Sabrina and Linda and Tidra. It's romper room for all the older people who know that. Yay, it's so fun. I love it. Hello, everyone on Facebook. We love you. And if you're listening on audio, on our podcast, there's a couple things. For those of you who are like, oh man, if you're listening on the replay and you're like, I really wanted to do this live and be in there and do the after party, you can sign up for the text reminder. We do send out a text reminder. Doesn't cost anything. You just text a word. What do we test? Test portion?
I think so.
I don't know. Email us.
We should know these things.
info@therootedcafe, KAFE.com. And then you can also, if you don't want to scroll all through the portion, you can also search over in the portion, say text. And I bet you that post will come up. The other thing is if you wanted to listen to the podcast, we have a podcast. Now it does have it. You probably can't go in Apple and search for us because we're not like public, but because we like to keep this group private for you guys, but you do have a private link so that you could share it with friends. So it is, because we trust you to trust your friends. So there is a link that you can then go in and it adds it to whatever, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever you listen to. It'll add it. And I love it. Brenda, do you love that? I just opened my podcast. Has anyone else done it yet?
I do. And I do love it. And it's great for when you're traveling. It's just awesome. Yeah. You can just pop it in and it's like you're redeeming the time.
Yeah.
And you're with the girls,
Yeah. I'm laughing. I'm in a virtual background, but can you see how we show up right here? It shows up and it's really fun. Then you open it up and it's like, oh, here we are, the portion. And then you scroll down and you can find all the ones you're like, oh yeah, I didn't listen to that one. So it's kind of cool.
Sydney posted over here. Thank you, Sydney. She posted over here in the chat, text portion to 844-937-1797.
Yeah, if you're in Facebook and you got a reminder or whatever, say, yes, I got mine. Yay, I loved it. I hope you love it. It was it was something we wanted to add to be able to help y'all. Because we got a lot of you, we hear you, and you said, I keep forgetting. And so we're like, hey, let me help you. Today we're in Miketz at the end. That's what that means, or ish. Genesis 41:1 through 44:17. And I love that God's timing is specific. It's really a specific, and it's ending a mark. It's marking an ending of something, but it's also marking the beginning of something, right? That's what we forget when we're at the end of something. And I know there's some of you going through some things and you feel like it's the end, or you've gone through some things this last few weeks, the end of something. Some of us this year, maybe you had to go through the end of a job, or the end of things. Maybe you're at the end of friendships or family relationships, or so you think, because you've decided to walk this walk. I mean, I've walked that through. I'm sure there's a lot of you who can say, yep, that happened to me. Say, yep, it happened to me on there. I feel like a preacher, like repeat. Why need you to repeat? Yeah. So there are things that end. And it's like when, Brenda, when we go to bed at night and like the sun goes down, I don't go to bed then, but when the sun goes down, it's the end, but it's the beginning, but it's the end, but it's the beginning, but it's the end. Right?
And that's Hebrew. Hebrew is cyclical. It's not, there's really no beginning or no ending. It's like a cycle. So yeah, that's one of the really neat things about Hebrew, is that it really is a cycle. And if you think about that, at the end, what we consider the end of the day is really the beginning of the day. The first thing that you're doing is you're honoring the Holy One, and then you rest. That's how you begin your day. You rest, because when you're asleep, you're cradled in his arms when you're sleeping. And that's a time when your body's regenerating. I believe your spirit's regenerating. I believe your mind is regenerating. And that's the way to start the day. And then you wake up fresh and you go, go, go.
I love it. No. That's not how everyone else lives.
No,
that is not how they all live. No, not even at all. We have to remember too that this parsha, when we go into this is actually a fulfillment of a prophecy given to Abraham. Abraham was told that his people would be put into exile and they would suffer persecution. This is not a surprise. I'm wondering at what point did they go, oh yeah, remember they told Grandpa Abraham that? Do you think that happened or no?
I don't know. Today I feel like I know nothing. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm reading this like, when did that get put in there?
When did they put this whole section? I remember I saw the movie, but I don't remember this.
I'm like,
you know what? Joseph thinks he's forgot. He interprets some dreams, which we want to talk about in a little bit later. I would love to. We're going to jump into a little bit about why is it important that we dream, or why is it even talked about? And I was speaking to someone recently, a new member here in the portion, and I had an opportunity to, by the way, I threw out my calendar. I do have some openings for coffee chats next week. I love getting to know you. So I got to know her, and one of her big things was dream interpretation, and she loves operating in that gift. And unfortunately, a community that she was in kicked her out because they didn't think that was for this time. And I'm sad, because this is the really perfect parsha for us to remember that dreams and interpreting dreams is something that he gives us for a reason. And here Joseph he's given this dream, and they've told him, hey, when I get back up there, I'm going to remember you. And yeah, they forget him. 2 years.
Real life. Is that not real life?
Yeah. I wrote a note to myself about those dreams, just by the way, if we don't mind hopping in there. They were and I'll say this will be worth repeating later, but Joseph's dreams were not, they were used as an instrument for unification. They were not used for an instrument of dominance.
Right.
So in his immaturity, he presented them as if they were an instrument of dominance. Like, hey, And I'm going to tell you, we would be here all day if I told you every time I did that, if I was like opened up and told you all the, when I've thought that, oh, look what I can do. And what he ends up doing in our maturity is he ends up showing us how all of our gifts that he gives us, or all of our dreams that he gives us, maybe let's use those. We might be able to use those what is the word? Interchangeably. I make up words. Interchangeably, they can use back and forth, because our dreams, our gifts, they should be using as unifications, right? Not as gifts of dominance. And I think sometimes in the immaturity of our gifts, sometimes we might have a tendency to use them as a gift, as domineering. But that baker, it's interesting that the baker's dream, he didn't chase away the birds in his dream.
I was thinking about that myself, Charlie. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's
what I'm thinking. That up.
Because I think it's interesting if we see parables of Jesus. Can I just take a bite? I'll wait till I stop talking and then you just talk. The baker, I realize, I feel like you guys are in my living room and I'd be talking and like with my mouth open. So the baker didn't chase the birds away and he didn't protect it. Like, he was given this, his job. It was his job to, and we can put your spiritual hats on. And what does the bread mean? And what is it? We've heard other ways that the seed is cast and we don't protect it. Look at Abraham's job. Abraham's job wasn't that he had to be part of that covenant, right? I mean, in the middle of it, splashing the blood on himself. His job was to chase the birds away. That's what he did. And he didn't do that. Did you want to, and then I'll just do both and then I'll eat my yogurt. The cupbearer, he, on the other hand, was really quick to harvest the fruit and to bring it to his master. He was the good servant. He was quick to do the things. Now I'm going to eat and you talk. Bye.
Oh. I was thinking that I'm really glad you brought that up, because I was thinking the same thing when I was reading about the dreams, that because I was wondering, we all think about this. Okay, there's two guys. How does one get chosen to die and one gets chosen to live? And the baker didn't, he didn't protect what was of incredible value and what was his purpose. He didn't protect it at all. It reminds me of how the word shamar, that we're to keep. We are to keep the covenants. We're to protect them. We're to, hold them close as valuable, very, very valuable. And that's not what he was doing. And I don't think that I ever really, I can't remember, of course, hello. I've slept since then. I can't remember ever recognizing that before, that he didn't value the thing that he was, he was in a position of great, not just authority, but responsibility.
He was feeding the people. He had the responsibility to feed the people
and feed the king
and
keep bad things away. It was important for him to make sure that food was preserved precious, not having bird feces on it. You know what I mean? And you would think that would have been the first thing that he would have thought was, oh my gosh, I've got to preserve this. I've got to preserve this. But he didn't. He wasn't keeping it. He wasn't shamaring. He wasn't holding it close to his heart. But the cup holder just seemed to me, this was just me, it seemed to me that the cup holder was doing that more. And so I was just seeing the difference between the two.
And he was quick. He was quick to be obedient. He was quick to go and do the things. He was the honorable servant. So I think this is just, take that to your Shabbat tomorrow and ponder. Selah. Selah. I think it's interesting that to run a country, apparently the job description is that you have to be able to just interpret a couple dreams.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
So we'll be holding classes in dream interpretation, so we can all be ruling the world. But no,
you need to know stuff. You have to have mad skills.
Yeah, apparently you have to have some skill. But he'd already gotten favor. We talked about that last week. He'd gotten favor, and then I love the word and then he was remembered, right? It says, right. And then it was like, oh yeah, 2 years go by. I mean, more than 2 years have gone by in some things in my life. And then I love the suddenlies, right? Because what happens is when it's time, when you've matured in something And I believe that for me, there's some things I was learning. I'm doing the workbook 5 for Halisa. And I'm really studying a lot about leadership right now. There's something that God's brewing in my heart. So I've been studying a lot about leadership. And I think I wrote a little note about this, but because next to her workbook, sorry, discuss some extra stuff. Um, oh, I forgot. Anyways, the bottom line is this. It was in the middle of his, he had to mature in it, and then then the humility came. It took a couple years for him to get humble again, because I think he was still a little proud. We talked about a little big for his britches. Then he got to Potiphar's house, did a great job. He's super blessed. There was probably a little bit of big for his britches in there. He got put back into for a little more humbling, little more time in the Instapot. He had to go in there and cook a little bit. It wasn't quite ready. And then he was humbled. And when that happens, then I love how we say it suddenly. It's like saying, oh, you find it in the last place you looked. Well, duh, yeah. It's the last place you look because you found it. You don't keep looking. So it's like when you reach the point of maturity, it's a suddenly, but is it? It's like saying she's an overnight success, but it took her 35 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's my suddenly.
But it happened suddenly.
Suddenly, and he was remembered. And that doesn't mean that he had been forgotten, right, Brenda? That word is about
it means that, yeah, we all know, we go through this a lot. The word zakar, to remember, means to put in the forefront of your mind. In other words, to put your attention into that thing in this moment. Your intentions are are purposeful, to move that thing into what needs to be done in that. It doesn't mean that you've forgotten. It means that there's purposeful intention occurring in that moment. There's a focus and attention occurring in that moment. And that's really what happened. He wasn't forgotten at all. This was all part of the process. And in real life, our processes in real life may make us feel like we've been forgotten, but we have to remember what he says in Isaiah, where he says that even if a nursing mother could forget her baby at her breast, I can't. Even if she could, I can't. I cannot forget you. I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me, it says. In other words, everything that you do, the machinations of your life are all before me.
That's a big word.
Right there. I know, right?
I have to write that down.
Come from?
Machination. I don't even know what that means. I have to write that down. Machination.
Oh, the geek occasionally slips out of me. I'm sorry.
Don't
try to hide it well.
Misty, did you just write down machination? I just want to know. She probably knows what it means. She's a CFO.
So
wow, that's so amazing, Brenda. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So all of that is, he's saying it may seem as if I have forgotten you, but that is not what's happening. So what's happening is the process of going through. Joseph had a lot of trauma to process.
Yes.
And a lot of, God required him. It's interesting that the tribe is not named after Joseph. The tribe is named after his sons. And so there is a whole big thing happening here because he is supposed to be imparting. And do you know that there is a thought process that the interpreter that was at Joseph's side when his brothers were being spoken to, because Joseph didn't speak to them directly. He spoke to them through an interpreter when his brothers were brought before him. And there's the tradition that interpreter was Manasseh.
I read that today and I was like, what? I mean, again, we were going to put a big headline. This is not in Torah. This is a tradition passed down from the people, the sages, whatever. But it makes sense to me in my sense-making mind. Who in Egypt would have been speaking Hebrew unless Joseph taught them some Hebrew? That's what I was thinking. That's what I've been thinking this morning. It makes sense. It could have been Manasseh because he would have taught him Hebrew, because that's what he would have done, right? He would have been in his house. Because, I mean, it's interesting, Brenda, is that Joseph, he gets a new name in Egypt. He's named just like Daniel did. I mean, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? That was
Yeah.
their Babylonian names. But
Yeah.
that's a song we learned in Sunday school.
Yeah.
But Joseph gets a new name after he gets promoted, and he's remembered. Then suddenly he gets a promotion. How many of you feel like suddenly happens and you've been working your tail off? New name,
Love it.
Zephanath Paneah,
Zephanath Paneach.
the
Yep.
man of bread of life.
Very cool.
Could we just I feel like if you've been around a while, you could sit in that for a minute and be like, what? He is supposed to be a foreshadowing of Messiah. And he's been given a name, not a Hebrew name that means that he is the bread of life. He is given a Egyptian name. So even when you're in Egypt, even when you're living in cray-cray, even when you're surrounded by paganism, even in all that, he will suddenly remember you. Suddenly you'll be raised up in the middle of all the paganism. He's not telling him to leave Egypt so he can free the people. He's using Egypt to be a place of restriction. We can talk about Mitzrayim. It's that tight place of discipline. Yeah. He uses the Mitzrayims in your life, the pagan places in your life, sometimes your pagan families in your life, and sometimes they may call you things that they think are just funny, but what they're doing is calling out. In the midst of my pagan family, they called me something, and we'll share another day. And you think it's, they would, call, they had a different name, and they didn't realize what they were speaking out. And these Egyptians didn't realize what they were speaking out in the prophetic word they were giving him over and over as they said his name. At age 30, someone else we might have known started ministry at 30. That's when the priests would begin their duties at age 30. None of this is coinky-dinkies, right?
Right. It's so beautiful that the prophetic imagery of Messiah is seen in here in the brothers not loving him, not understanding him, hating him, wanting to get rid of him, him being, Joseph was sold into slavery. Yeshua was taken into prison and beaten. It's just, it's so beautiful how we are able to just get the fragrance from a different perspective, right?
Yes.
No, we're looking at it from Joseph, but we understand that, yeah, this is what Yeshua went through this too.
Absolutely. And we're seeing, and thank you, Nitsa, you're my new best friend. Sorry, Brenda.
Yeah, no problem.
But machinations, an act of machinating
happened before.
A scheming or crafty action or artful design intended to accomplish some usually evil end backstage machinations. I'm just going to tell you, shenanigans was my favorite word. Machinations is my new favorite word. It's basically plotting and scheming. She says in here that I'm reading their Zoom chats for those of you listening. Anissa says he also gets a change of clothes, most likely linen. And in Genesis 41:42, Pharaoh gave him a signet ring, fine linen, and a gold chain. And I had written those in my notes too, that he got a change of clothes.
Yes.
He gets a new identity. Now, I don't know about you, but there's a couple times in my 52 years that I have had a couple identity crises. And I can imagine that they change his name, they give him new clothes he's not used to. This is not the cloak that his father had given him. This is not that. All those things, think about that, had been taken away from him. And then he's given something that this is not something he's used to wearing. He's been in a prison, right? I love and in the Torah, I put a note in my this is my things that I ponder for those of you who want to know my brain. It's a scary place. Why did they say he had to change and shave? Like he had to change and shave. Like that was added in there. Like, and I feel like everything is important. Everything is important. So is there a reason that he had to clean up? So that's, for me, it's just telling me that he was a hot mess. Like he was down there. He wasn't looking so great. And it was just for us to get a visual picture, but I'm sure there's something else in there because I don't know. And then he gets new clothes, right? Misty, are you telling us or are you talking to someone else? Are you like explaining what happened? Oh, okay. I thought she was like, she had the answers. Okay. Yeah. That's That's amazing. I love it. Oh, going through linen. Nitso, this is awesome. Free download from Halisa from her first Torah workbook in the appendix. I have it right in front of me. I'm excited. I'm going to go look it up. Very cool. So I think that this whole section gives us, this is like the life of Emunah, right? This is the life truly of living in faith. And Joseph even says it in 45, 4-8, summing it all up. He says, it wasn't even you who sent me. It wasn't you who sent me. Do you think that Joseph, this is the Zephaniah Paneh. Do you think that he wouldn't have been able to say that when he was living with them, when he was a shepherd. It took a lot. We can talk a lot about that later, but it took a lot to get to here. It's teshuvah. This is truly showing us how to walk this out. Absolutely. So it's beautiful. Some search, I believe. Oh my gosh, there's so much to read. I'm excited. You guys are chatting over here and I want to be distracted by shiny things. Okay. Also, in 4132, I just made a little note, some notes for you guys. In it's notice, I want you to notice 4132. Why did I write this? 32. Okay. Now, as for repeating Pharaoh's dream twice, I mean, it was twice that it was repeated. And I just want to let you guys know everything is in here for a reason. When you hear something that says it was repeated twice, not only is it for us to pay attention and it's something to say, woo, get your attention, but it's something about it means that it was legally settled. So that's the little ancient Near East education here, is that it means something was legally settled. If they repeated it twice, it was, for all you ancient Near East cafeers, it means it is legally settled. So, whew. Anything else before I jump into dreams?
Oh, wow. I love that. I love that we're able to get the ancient Near East perspective from this, because this isn't culturally, it's like, why do you always repeat yourself?
Yes.
But here there's never any wasted words in Torah. Never any wasted words. So when something seems really obscure and it's put in there, we have to trust that there is a reason. And this year may not be the layer that we're in that. It might be next year that we get into that layer of it all.
Exactly.
It's all okay.
Well, and Nita makes a comment about, I see her grabbing books in her library. I'm nervous. I'm excited, nervous. I can't wait for the after party. She talks about linen being an example throughout scriptures, and it's a garden given choice along with gold to individuals. Scooted down. Individuals or the nation of Israel when they're about to be delivered, exalted, reign, or be wedded. Isn't that cool? I think he's also being wedded. He's not given a Hebrew wife. Like, they didn't send to keep this. They did not send someone to go and find him a Hebrew wife, did they? It's even crazier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Two of our tribes are polluted.
Yeah. Are they?
Are they though? No.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the embrace of the Holy One. That is him saying, yes. Are you part of the tribes? Yes. Yes. Are you adopted in? Yes. Are you bloodline? Yes. Maybe not. Maybe not bloodline, but adopted? Yes. And that's what's showing here is that well, it's just like Rahab, hello. Where'd that lineage come from? Yep. Was that a mistake? No. I just love that, how the Holy One brings us all about. And we realize that after the 400 years that they become enslaved and then they're rescued out and redeemed and pulled out, and they're coming. This is all this mixed multitude. It's really important that we understand. Yes, there are certain bloodlines that have specific responsibilities and specific tasks and specific things that they do, and the land is very specific. But there's also this embracing, welcoming of those that are not in that bloodline. There's this embracing. It's not a replacement. People have asked us about that. We are not replacement theologists by any means.
Far from it. Boy, I
No,
don't even
not by
deserve to
any
be in the
means.
room, let alone replace anybody.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
But the fact that there is an embracing of those that are being gathered and being brought in and being and having a new identity placed upon them and having their clothes changed and having their
Yes.
faces washed and having their hair cut, and we
Yes.
get to be those people, and it's just beautiful. I just hope that everybody in this tour portion, we it's really easy for us to just run through and just get like the surface level of the story, and that's great and that's fine, and I'm not that's really good, but there's also something that's underlying is
Yes.
these are the steps
Yes.
toward this redemptive walk that we get to walk. These are the steps of healing. These are the steps of watching the fractured family being put back together,
Yes.
watching the brothers speaking life, standing up and saying, be it on me, be it on me. I mean, taking the blame, taking the responsibility. Uh, it it is just amazing, this redemptive story that we can see in the midst of all of this. And sometimes the tour portions go so fast in a week, it's impossible to, to really be saturated in this and to I mean, you never feel, I mean, I know you don't because I don't and Charlie doesn't. We never feel that there's enough time for us to actually sit in this long enough.
There
Like
isn't.
we
There's
need.
not. I feel like it all the time.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it's not a coincidence. It's a God incidence that this is all comes up this time of year. We just went through Hanukkah last night. Was the last night of Hanukkah. But in here, you all know this is not the group where we don't talk about Christmas. We don't talk about the other holidays that our families might be. You might be still in that place where you're still celebrating those things. We love everybody wherever they're at on their journey, because I struggled for a really long time going back and forth because it was so ingrained in me and things that were so hard for me. It has to be a divine revelation, not because one of us hit you over the head and say, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Because that's the reason why I believe Yeshua went to the well to speak to a Samaritan woman, because they worshiped in the wrong place. They did all the wrong things. And he went to her and he did not point out to her what you're doing wrong. He didn't say, your worship, first of all, sister, we need to talk about where you're worshiping. Yeah, your God is all wrong. And nor did she have to run back to the village and tell them all how bad they were and what they did wrong. But what I believe happens is we get to go into our Egypts. And this is a time, there are many of you, and we're full disclosure, Brenda and I are both of them. I'm going to be going into some family events that are Christmas related. Now, I'm not the person that chooses to say, no, I'm not going, I'm not part of my family. Instead, I choose to go into the Babylon with my parachute on, ready to go in with full of love, full of sitting there in love. And they all know exactly what I believe. They know exactly, they don't, and they guess what? They start asking me because I'm not overbearing about it. I'm sitting there in love at the well going, hey, you guys want some water? Hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm not participating. They know that my home's not like that. If they come to my home, they know that I don't have a tree. They know, and maybe you do. It's okay. I really want to be here today, if you don't mind for a second. Sometimes we live in Egypt and sometimes we've assimilated some of the things that are in Egypt. That's what happens over 400 years, and they have to be reminded. That's what the 10 words are about, is they're being reminded about who they are. Things have to drop off. And I just want to tell you, we love you where you're at. This is not the group for that, Zat. And if that offends you, please know we love you too. And let us have an honest chat with you about that, because we don't want to be Torah terrorists in here. We want you to actually love it so much that you change from the inside out. And we want you to love everyone else in here wherever they're at on their journey.
Yes.
Loving them, being there with them. And
Yes.
that's what's happening here. We have Joseph marrying a sun god priest. Hello. And having kids by him. And he didn't say, no, I'm not marrying this woman. She's not Hebrew. I refuse. Instead, he's saying, God's going to work all things for my good. So he's going to work this out for our good. And he's going to end up bringing, this is two boys' names that we bring up every Friday. And I think there's a reason for it. And I feel passionate about that. There is a reason that every Friday, they're the two names we bring up that we want our sons to be like Ephraim and Manasseh. Those are the names we bring up because I think part of that is to remember that we're talking to the multitudes, the mixed multitudes that our children are part of. We are part of the mixed multitudes. We are part of the nations. And I was listening to a really great teaching this week about even in the garden, we are given the prophetic word in that the human being was one, and then from a side of him was pulled out, not his side, a side of him was pulled out, and then there was two beings, Ish and Isha. And then the two shall then become one again. Same thing with the nations. The nations have been split apart. But then what happens is under the kingdom, all the nations will become one. When they left out of Egypt, in that place of birthing, in that place of turmoil, they were all delivered out as one. So right now, what we're seeing doesn't make sense. So there may be some things around you that don't make sense. And I'm just praying for you. Sit back and let your leadership and let your gifts not be something that tear things down, but instead that brings unification. Let you look around and ask God, how do I step into this? Do I speak or don't I speak? Do I go? Don't I go? So if you ask us, should I go to my Christmas party? This is our answer. Write it down. What did the Holy One tell you to do? That's the answer. Because he may tell you to go and tell me to stay home. So that's why we're told, I think Paul, right? Paul tells us what's permissible to one servant is not permissible to another servant. So what is he telling you to do? I have gone to someone's house and they made ham sandwiches. And I just sat there looking at them and I was all, and chewed them and swallowed them and was like, that's really nice. And then realized the next time I go somewhere, I better tell them, I just want to let you know a couple of things that aren't on my diet. And then I share, I didn't share it. So I wasn't rude. I wasn't going to make a big thing because she was so excited. It was a new recipe for this ham salad. And I was like, oh God, help me. Anyway, that was a long rant. I just really think it's good timing right now that here we have Joseph, who is in a mixed multitude. He's in a pagan environment. He's thriving and he's excelling in a pagan environment, wearing the clothes, wearing the ring, having the necklace on, having the little headdress on. He looks so Egyptian, his brothers didn't even recognize him.
Yeah. It'd been 13 years since they'd seen him.
Probably had some eyeliner on.
I'm sure. And a beard, and probably.
Yeah.
And lots of eyeliner, makeup, whatever.
Probably. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway.
He was yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of this, and where's the verse at? I'm in 41, scooting around. It says, and when the years of abundance in the land came to an end. That's in 53. The end of days is really cool because I know that that Holisa talks about when we talk about the end of days, and a lot of this section is a forecast or is a reminder to us of the hint of Sukkot and the festivals. That there were 7 days and going through the sevens and the fun parts about that. So let's move into dreams. Can we just talk about dreams for a minute?
Yeah, let's talk about dreams.
So
Very
a lot
cool.
of this, I highly recommend, and I hear people saying, oh gosh, it's a really big investment. It's $35. Go in your garage and find something to sell and go buy it. Halisa's workbook, well, I'm on she's got one for each Parsha, right? So, and it is like a mini little college course, but not really. I would say it's like, it's not easy. Does someone chime in? It's not like some of the stuff like, weekly when we sit in and on her lessons, sometimes it's a water hose. I mean, I'm in a fire hose and I'm standing there going, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But I wouldn't say that about the workbooks. I feel like I can take it. Maybe it's because I can shut it and go, I can't do this right now. But a lot of what I'm talking about today, I want to give credit where credit's due is through revelation that I have learned from Dr. Holisa Alwine, who doesn't care if we share, just as long as we don't copy her paperwork. The word dream is halam, and it's a het, a lamed, and a mem. That's the word picture for halam. Brenda, do you feel good?
Wow, that's a good picture.
Let's jump off here. Because this is kind of about dreams, and we just left the month of dreams, and we just started a new month, but we left the month of dreams. But do you mind hanging out with us? And het, lamed, mem. So het. Yeah. Tell me about the letter het.
The het is the.
If you're a good Jew, you have a lot behind you. Yeah, that sounds pretty good on a podcaster.
So the het is it's a structure like a gate. It's like the chuppah, And it is a place where learning and contracts are made, and where it's a safe place where you can negotiate contracts, negotiate whatever, learn the Torah. It's a safe place, and it's enclosed. And the lamed is the hook that keeps you on the pathway, keeps you protected and safe, brings correction when needed. It is that thing where you are you draw people that are falling off the path, you can draw them back with the lamed. It's that place of learning. And that, boy, that has all kinds of connotations to it. That's the learning. What are we learning? So the
Well, and
het
it's
is
it's
the
a lot of
gate.
inspection, and I like that too. It's the
Yes,
inspection rod that we have to pass under the lamed. The lamed, that's the
exactly.
other thing that a shepherd's rod is used for, is inspection. Do you have weird sores? Unclean, unclean. Like, what is going on?
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's
Hazarat,
that,
who knows?
right. And the learning and the instruction is really about recognizing what doesn't belong.
Yes. Okay.
So the sores, the thing, when you go under that rod, and like you were saying, you're being inspected. It's like, what doesn't belong here? What needs to be fixed before you move along? What needs to be healed? What needs to be protected? And that is it would be considered correction, but really salve going into the wound is going to be painful, but it's going to bring healing.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
have to look at learning like that. We have to look at the Torah is like that. It's like, yeah, it might hurt when you start applying these things. It's like it hurts the flesh. It makes us uncomfortable, but its purpose is to guide and direct us onto the narrow pathway. And
Which is the
that's,
mem part of that. The
yeah,
dreams, right? Is the mem.
right. The mem is the water. In it Mem is water. It can also be called chaos. It's just depending on what the circumstances are and where you're at.
Are you
Yeah.
moving in the flow in the river
Yeah.
of life, or
Yeah.
are you moving around
Yeah.
in the chaos? Because each letter does
Yeah.
have two sides of it. Where do you live?
Yes,
Life and death.
always.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
life and death in
always.
everything. In the power of the tongue, life and
Yeah.
death. In the power of
Right.
the letter is life and death.
This is a mem sophite. It's the last letter, and it's a mem sophite. So that is, if you think about that, the where's the water taking you? The water picks you up and takes you someplace. And when there's a sophite or a finalization, there's 5 letters that have that, a finalization in it, then that is taking you where is the finalization of the journey? It's to the tree of life. It's to the gates of heaven. It's to the throne room of God. That's where it's taking you. So
Mm.
you have to look at this place of safety, this place of covering, this place where you are being safe in learning and in being instructed and learning. And that is taking you where? It's taking you into the kingdom. It's taking you to the throne room of God. It's taking you to the tree of life. So that's just kind of a little bit of an imagery of what that word means hieroglyphically.
That's beautiful. So now, whenever you see people talking about dreams anywhere in the word now, I want you to see that picture, that word picture, that your dreams are actually a safe place. They're a healthy place for you to get strong, for you to be
Yeah.
restored to health.
Yeah.
It is ultimately, our dreams are used to bring us back to the garden. If we
Yes.
really spend time in them, and I'm not good at this, everyone, hold me accountable. I wake up and I need to start writing my dreams, because then I get it going about, and then I don't let the halam work in my life. I move on. And Allie, she's in the portion, you guys find her, but she's been sharing some really cool dreams that she's been having with me, and I'm a little jealous. And Brenda, you have these really vivid dreams that right now he was showing you is coming true. But it's not always that, like, oh, I had this really happy dream. Brenda's right now, she had this dream that all these trucks were showing up and delivering things to her house. And that's kind of what's happening. People are just randomly coming to her house and bringing things. I'm telling you that sometimes your dreams are going to be used for correction. Sometimes they're going to be warnings, but all of it, we remember that it's the safe place for us to learn and negotiate and for us to hit the mark, right? It's to help us to hit the
Yes.
mark. That's where
Yeah.
it's at. We see David all through the Psalms. David we can see how he handles all of his deferred dreams. We can see how he does that in the Psalms.
Mhm.
He goes through, because here's a guy who's he slays a giant and then he's anointed king and then he waits. And then we see, I used to think that David was bipolar because reading the Psalms, like, oh God, why is this happening? But I love you. This is amazing. Oh, I'm gonna die. But God, you're so wonderful and great and beautiful. How lovely is your name? Yeah, I always think this guy needs medication, but that's not it. It's like he knows it's a
Mhm.
safe place. This is a safe place to work things out.
Mhm.
It's really a great place. Memories, sometimes if we go back, instead of spending time, we'll spend times in some memories instead. Sometimes instead of thinking of our dreams, I'm thinking back as Joseph is looking back on his dream. He has memories of what these guys did for him, what they did to him, I should say. And memories can be super full of emotions and feelings. And it's not always the truth. Love that Halisa always says forgiveness is it is written life choice. She always talks about living the it is written life as opposed to going by your feelings or going by what's happening. I do a thought ladder, and Brenda and we'll go through it. I have friends, if I'm coaching or have clients I'm coaching them, we go through thought ladders and I'll be like, okay, what's the fact? The fact is Joseph's brothers threw him in a pit. Now, maybe before he got the new robes and everything, his thoughts about it were, that wasn't fair. I should have been at home with my dad. I was the favorite. This shouldn't have happened to me. So then the next thing is your feelings. The feelings are he's feeling all kinds of things that were negative, right? And
Mhm.
then the actions of that are not positive. His actions would have been things that would have kept him from being a good leader. Now, flip it around now, we see him with new robes. We see him with a new ring. We see him now, he has now risen up and he's out walking in his calling in maturity, where his dreams and his calling are bringing unification instead of division. Now, when he looks back, he can look back in these memories. He can say, well, the fact is, as his brothers are standing there, the fact is my brothers threw me in a pit. But my thoughts now are emunah. It is all good. It's all for my good. It was God who did that, not them who did that. The truth is, physically, they did it. But my thoughts of it now have changed. And my thoughts are now that it wasn't them, it was God. So now my feelings are now of forgiveness. My feelings are now of being able to bring unity. My feelings are now of redemption and reconciliation. So then the actions
Yes.
mean that I actually physically walk this out. And that's things that we get to walk through in our lives. If we allow the renewings of our mind, if we allow that to happen, whether it's in our dreams or not, right?
Yeah, it was so beautiful that right in this, where you're talking about in this part, that the brothers don't know that Joseph can understand what they're saying because he's talking through an interpreter, and they start revealing the change that has occurred in them. I just love that. They weren't doing it in order to get something out of Joseph because they didn't think that Joseph could understand them. So
Mm-mm.
they're talking and they're saying, we are truly guilty concerning our brother. We saw the anguish of his soul when he pleaded with us. I mean, they've come to the realization that all of this is happening to them. Who they are is starting to rise up within them, and a change is coming because
Yes.
we realize, like Judah, he's been a hot mess. We just read last week about him and Tamar. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Uh, and you know, and Simeon, he's
Well, I was reading today that the reason that he pulled Simeon out was because he was afraid that Simeon and Reuben would conspire and try to kill him. That's not in the word. That's
no, and
not a
well, and
thus saith
also
the Lord. That's a
Simeon was the one that actually was the ringleader,
ringleader.
throwing him in the pit and
Right, right.
selling him.
So it's
So
funny that he pulled him out and Judah out because they were like the two kind of ringleaders of what had happened and watching their teshuvah in this whole process, right?
it's just beautiful. Yeah,
So
it's
so Joseph
beautiful.
has these dreams, and I love that his dreams deferred were actually the soil that grew his humility.
Oh
And
yeah.
and one of the dreams, like we have this, I wrote down this one I believe was, I want to make sure I give the right credit. I wrote this down from Halisa's workbook, was that the seven heads on one stalk, is actually a Hebrew. It means a measuring reed or a scale. I wrote down menorah. That was my thing. Is a 7 heads on one stalk. And that's what I wrote down. I wrote menorah, but it's also, think about 7 festivals. It's a measuring stick. They're measuring sticks. The 7 festivals are a measuring stick. They're a timeline for us. The same thing with 7 days of the 7 days is a measuring stick for a week. And 7 years is a measuring stick for the cycle of years. And 7 weeks from Pesach to Shavuot. Isn't it interesting? We count the Omer, we count the wheat, we count that during that time. And I don't think, again, that's not all an accident. Make little notes of that. Those beginning, those old, you'll be like rolling your eyes. We know that. But these are the things when he was dreaming about the grain, it wasn't just him dreaming about, oh, a bunch of grain. It was bigger than that. He was that dream meant a lot more when he had that dream.
Mm-hmm.
And an example that I had read was that this whole concept of the tribulation of delay. There are lots of you. And we're going to go into in a couple weeks. We're going to hearing everyone talking about their visions. I have a girlfriend who does vision board workshops. And what is your vision? Casting your vision for the year. I'm not saying that sarcastically, by the way. Don't know why that came out. What a weird voice. Setting your goals for the year. Most of us have weight loss at the top, or our health, or we want to get more, we want to be better at reading the word. We making all these things, but maybe there's been a vision or a dream. Someone spoke something over your life. Maybe as a child, maybe you were supposed to write a book. Maybe you're supposed to be leading a ministry. Maybe we talk about this almost every week, Brenda, I feel like. Maybe you're a leader in some way, because I do believe the women in here, you're called to be leaders, and you've been called to something, but something is deferred. Something is crashed and burned. You thought it was over. It's all gone. But I believe that there is the tribulation of delay. And the example that I read about today might have been in Halisa's book. I think maybe it's about the raisin is a perfect example. And it was her, because she used the story about Abigail and giving the raisin cakes to David. The raisin is actually sweeter than the grape, right? The raisin is sweeter than a grape. The tribulation of delay, if you look at a raisin, grapes are great, but if you wait and they get sweet, they get sweeter and sweeter as they dry out in the sun, S-O-N. They dry out in the sun. The tribulation of that, it gets sweeter and sweeter. And then what happens is it lasts longer, because a grape can't take you through the winter. It's only an instant gratification. That I don't think was in there. I just made that up right now. Grapes are instant gratification, but a raisin, I mean, it can take you through a famine. It can take you all the way through the winter and into the next season. And do grapes even ever die? I mean, they might mold if they're in the bad place, but grapes last a long time. So there's things that are in your life. I want you to receive that there are things in your life right now that you felt like they've been delayed and they've died, but it's actually a tribulation of delay that's working it so that there is a maturity and a humility happening in that under the sun, so that when you walk in it, it's sweeter. It feeds the people for longer. It actually doesn't spoil, because you can actually take it through the hard times. It's not just going to be, oh, I have grapes. You're going to actually be able to walk that out better. I hope that was for someone, but
It's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. And I know that there are ladies, I know that there are some of you right now that are just have been really going through hard times. I have a few people on my mind right now that I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Really hard times, like this can't be God.
Yeah.
Can I just say that you are precious and special, and that He has not forgotten you.
Yes.
And the hard things that are happening, our hearts grieve with you in the hardness of that. As reading this story this last couple of weeks, have we not grieved with Joseph?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, he was, but he didn't deserve this. I mean, there were things that maybe he should have been, he needed to tighten up some things in his life, but this was not what he deserved. This should not have happened to him. This was harsh. This was ridiculously harsh. And his life was disrupted and destroyed, and his hope was gone. There was no plan. His future was eliminated. He was taken away from his family, from his father, from Jacob, the patriarch Jacob. He was the one that sat with his father and learned from him. He was the one that his father was pouring his identity into, and that was all ripped away from him. And the reason that we're reading this story right now, there are some of you that are going through the hardest things right now that you cannot even somehow gotten you because this is just too hard. But can I just tell you that in his scheme of things, in the cycle of how God does things, it's cyclical, cyclical, cyclical. This is not the end.
Mm-mm.
And this is not the beginning. It's continuing, and he is going to work the most amazing and beautiful things. Can you just hold on?
Yes.
Hold on, wings down. Don't try to fix everything right now. Just take a breath and trust him that he is going to give you strategies from heaven to walk through this. And in the process, he's going to change you and mold you and bless you and increase you. And it's going to be hard. Like going under the shepherd's rod is always hard. That salve burns, the incisions, the cutting, the stitches burn. But in the midst of that, what's going to come out on the other side is going to be so amazing, and you are not forgotten. And that's my big thing today is like this story is telling me that no matter what, you are not forgotten. No matter what, it might have looked like the cupbearer forgot Joseph, which he did. He forgot Joseph, but the timing wasn't right. That baby would have been birthed too soon. That would have been premature.
Yes.
Joseph needed to be where he was for those extra 2 years. He really did. For whatever reason, God knew. And that's what I'm saying to you is just please take heart that in the midst of these hard things, you have people praying for you. We are trusting God to bring about all of his goodness in the midst of it, but in the midst of the hardship, that you would be able to just put your face toward him and put your wings down and let him walk you through. Let him speak strategies to you. He will. It's what he does
Yes.
in the midst of all of it. And there are a lot of women on here. You can connect with people here. Connect with people that'll pray with you, connect with people that'll talk with you, connect with people that will walk this out with you.
Yes.
You're not alone.
I have to read some of these comments on Facebook. I hopped on my phone so I could read some of them. One is really great because she says that grapes can actually be rehydrated with water, that we can add water to a grape and it's restored again. Isn't that cool? I think that's cool. But there is lots of greetings from everyone. Love it, love it, love it. Erica says if Joseph would have gotten out of jail, that he would have left straight for home instead of being part of the king's court.
Right. And brought deliverance and to thousands, not only deliverance, but he fed the world.
Millions.
He fed the world.
Yes.
Every nation of the world was coming there to get food.
Yeah.
That would not have happened if he would have been delivered.
He unified the nations. He unified the nations. This is what Messiah is going to do in the kingdom. The nations will be unified.
Yeah.
All the nations, we will be unified. This is what we're seeing that's what we should be. We don't get political on here at all. What we want you to do is stand up and unify the nations and ask the Holy One, what's your strategy in it? What does it mean? Does it mean you have to be a giver of bread to people that maybe you don't know? I don't know what that looks like for you. What is the strategy in your sphere of influence, in your surroundings, that you are to unify the nations? Because he's not a respecter of persons. And so what's your part in all of this? You are significant. You are significant. And ultimately, our running theme here in the portion in the Rooted Cafe is redemption. What's going to bring redemption and restoration? What is going to redeem you to Yeshua Mashiach? What's going to bring you to Jesus, your Savior? What's going to bring you back to the garden? What's going to bring you back to that place where you're walking and talking with him, and that the people around you, you're guiding them back to that place, not hollering and hooping and about crazy because you have an agenda, but because what is he saying to you? I don't know. It might mean you need to hold a sign, but make sure he told you to do it. Chapter 23 I so love this, and again, I feel like I'm like, Holisa is not paying me to tell everyone about her workbook, but this week I really enjoyed this. I do every week, but this was really good, and I love that in the process, Jacob does not understand what is going on. We'll call him Israel now. Israel does not understand what's happening. In 43:11, it says, then the father Israel said, well, if it must be so, then do this. He doesn't understand it. He doesn't like it. I hope you put your spiritual ears on that, because I know that what's going on in your family, let's just speak to that. If there's something happening in your family, you don't understand it. You don't know what's going on. What does he do? He says, no, hate you all, not happening. It's mine. I'm mad. I'm going to cry. I'm going to do this over here. I'm not doing this. No, what does he do? He takes the best products of the land. He tells them to put it in their bags, bring an offering down to the man.
I love that.
A little balsam, a little honey, gum and myrrh and pistachios and almonds. Take in your hand a double portion of silver, and bring back in your hand the silver that had been returned in the mouth of your sacks. Brenda, can you talk to us a little bit about silver? What does silver look like? And then I'll go in and talk to the other things that were sent as an offering.
The thing that hit me with this was silver represents redemption.
Yeah.
And that hit me with this. And can I just say a side note too? And I don't know why this is just rolling over me. I hope that it's for somebody. And if not, just let it go. But it feels to me like there's somebody who has a son who is going through some really, really, really difficult things, and you just want to help them, and you just really want to fix it, and you really want to rescue them, and that this story today is for you, because you need to let the Holy One be the one who does the rescuing. Because if you rescue too soon, the cost will be whatever the goal that the father has for that child. It will take another trip around for them to be able to get there, and you don't want to do that. So
that's good.
In the midst of all of this, we just trust that the Holy One will speak life to you and really give you an assurance that it's okay for you to just step back and allow this to play out. You don't have to jump in and rescue. And so sorry about that, but I just needed to say that real quick. But salvation, redemption, silver. Oh my gosh. Remember what they said in, I think it's in Acts, silver and gold have I none, but what I have. Okay, so the thing is, when they're saying that about, they don't have any money, they don't have anything of great value, but what they have is what God has placed within them, which is the power of the Ruach HaKodesh. So they were able to call that man forth to be healed. But what hits me about that is they're putting it, silver is valuable. Silver is awesome. Silver is great. What does it represent? Not only money, not over exchange, but it represents purity. It represents redemption. It represents a cleansing.
And we realized, this just hit me. He was sold for silver, redemption.
Yeah.
His redemption was traded. He was sold for the redemption of the people. Yeshua was sold for the redemption of the people with silver. Yeah. When you see the word silver, put a little note, redemption.
Yeah.
It was all about the redemption.
I don't know why this just jumped in my mind, but there, when the temple, at the temple, when Yeshua was walking around at the temple, and the money changers were out front. I never understood about the money changers. I just read that this week. I think it was in First Fruits of Zion. The money changers were probably Levitical priests. They were probably Levitical priests because they were in charge of making sure that you couldn't have an image on anything when you went into the temple. You couldn't have anything on you, that had an image on it, right? So the money changers, I didn't get this before. The money changers were the ones that took the current currency, which had Caesar's head on it, or whoever it was that had his head on it. So they couldn't take that money into the temple, and they needed money in the temple, so they would exchange it for the currency of the temple, which didn't have imagery on it. And that's what they did, but they were overcharging people.
They were giving the
It was
scales were off.
usury. Yeah,
Scales were off.
they were robbing them. And so that, but what they were able to take into the temple was something that was purified, and it didn't have the imagery of the idolatry of the pagan society in it. And they were able to go into the temple with that. And that just really struck me this week. I'm like, why did I not know that before? Or did I just forgot?
It's new.
It just got put in there.
Teshuvah is a commandment. It is a commandment. We are to, and we actually even get a whole festival about it. We get a whole day. We get days. We get times, seasons. We get the opportunity. It's so important that he sets time aside in our calendar. So I just got my new calendar. I am a calendar girl. That's why I said, hey, my calendar's on there, Coach. I live and die by my calendar and the word of God. Well, in not in that order. But if you need to know something, if it's not in my calendar, I can't do it because I'm lost. I have to go through now in my new calendar, and I will put all the seasons in and all the times and make little notes, because otherwise I won't plan well for it. Right. And guess what? As the Isha of my home, I won't bring that revelation or plan for my family, which means my family will be all helter skelter. They'll be like, wow, and not be doing anything right. So it's our jobs as the Isha to make sure we're setting the tone, setting those things. That's another day when we're going to talk about spiritual leadership, because girlfriend, get your Iser Conegdo on. It's your job. Get in there, open the windows, and go and be the warrior, because you were called as a woman of God we were told that we were going to teach our children to bruise the head of the serpent. We were going to teach our children to go out and fight, to go out there and make changes. I'm going to stop. Teshuvah is a commandment. And when he says, go back to the man, what he was saying was turn back in repentance. Go back to the man equals turn back in repentance. Is it an idiom? I have to look that up. Go back to the man. Like it's part of teshuvah, is you have to go back to the man, go back to the person. Remember, before when you make a korban shalom, before you do the fellowship offering, you can't do that until you go back to that person and make restoration. And then once you do that, then you can actually finish out the korban, the approach. I love when we get to do that part.
I love that.
So Israel's gifts, Israel's gifts, he tells him to bring a few things. And if you have this workbook, now you're going to all want to go buy it. It's going to be, Halisa's going to be like, wow, that's a weird run on all the,
I want to buy that.
You were going to crack up. I'll have to take a picture and show it. But she talks about, she uses this cart of stuff, and she calls it the crack cream, dream cream, crack cream. And it's about, healing cracks. How do you heal crack? And it cracks me up. And so she says, here is the recipe for healing the crack cream. So I'm not even going to try to take credit. The balm, soothing words to heal the wound. Medicine sometimes translates as opium, a pain-killing medicine, or sometimes translate as aloes, which heal burns, minimize scars, cleanse the digestive system. Honey, the words of Torah. Sweetness, a disinfectant, an antibacterial. It prevents the bitterness from reinfecting. If you have a wound, you just pour honey in it. Literally. Not salt in a wound, you pour honey in a wound, sisters.
Yeah. That's what you do when you're
right there.
Yeah, that's what you have to do when you're
Put your salt away.
Yeah.
Grab out your honey jar. Mm-hmm. Spices, resinous gum is, if you look it up, it is procured by making an incision in the bark of a tree and allowing the resin to flow out, and produces sweet odors like perfume. Myrrh, an aromatic gum used as an embalming agent, and the myrrh signifies our transition from the bitterness of death to life, for its name is from marar, Hebrew for bitter. Take real, not crocodile tears, back to the man. Pistachio nuts, boten, from beten, B-E-T-E-N, a belly wound, womb, body. Pistachios hold the pregnant hope of new life. For the nut meats are green, and it moves one past the bitterness of the hurt. Almonds, shaked, shaked, from the Hebrew shakad, shakad, to wake, to watch, awake, be alert, to keep watch of, to be wakeful over, as mourners or sufferers, meaning to be mindful, right? Having, be self-aware, right, of what's happening. Is if you're mourning and you're coming and demonstrate a real awareness of the suffering you've caused. Do not settle for superficial apologies. Apologies should reflect the full view of the trespass. An almond looks like an eye. See and admit your wrongs. Silver or money, both what was taken wrongfully and double the value of what we're asking. If the sin cost someone something, repay their loss double. This is more than the minimum Torah requires. Merely adding a fifth to the value of the loss says that you were caught. Double the restitution, and it says you repent. It's up to the receiver whether he accepts or returns it. Brother Benjamin, take the hope and the risk of enlarging the congregation of faith in unity with true repentance characterizes the return. Take responsibility even when it's legally someone else's or the responsibility is shared by others. Oh, it's good. In case you want to know what those little things were. Go with gifts. Teshuvah. It's more than just, teshuvah is more than just saying you're sorry. It's hard to sometimes to say you're sorry. You hear a lot of people saying that, but teshuvah is more than that. It's recognizing the harm you've done. Joseph left in a cart full of spices, right? We talked about that last week. He didn't have to leave in something stinky. He got to smell nice things and healing things that were used for healing. He got to go to Egypt with. So I feel that a lot of that was symbolic, that when it came to him, he would have known what that all meant. He would have seen the teshuvah in all of that as well.
Yeah.
Because what had happened is with Joseph and his brothers, they had let the Ishmaelite traders carry away their dreams when they carried Joseph away.
Yeah.
What have you let carry your dreams away? Because you sold it out or because it offended you? Because maybe someone brought something to you in their immaturity and it wounded you and it hurt you. Could we see people that way now? As the Judahs, as the Reubens? Could we start seeing people as, well, that's just them operating. Their gift isn't mature yet. Bless their heart. Instead of being offended. In the South, we say, bless your heart. That's not a good thing always, but you just know, not condescending, but in love, that you're like, that still needs some growing up. You know, they're just a little big for their britches still, but I just love it. And just, we get to, as women, we get to help nurture those things instead of selling it off to someone else and letting someone else have the benefit of that gift, because we sold our dream away because we were offended. It hurt our flesh. I don't know. I'd love to hear if you guys, you could just say me, that was me. If God is bringing some things to your mind, if the Holy One is saying, remember that time, but Romans 8:28. But Joseph says, you didn't do this to me.
Right.
He works all things for our good. Even our bad is good because he's in it.
That's very good.
I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
You know, I was just thinking about the picture of the Hebrew word kafar, which is kafar is the word for pitch. You're talking about healing the cracks and the crevices and
crack cream.
Yeah, crack cream. And the Hebrew word for it is kafar, and it's kaf pe resh, and it's if you think about it, the seraphim have wings, right? And so kafar, the kaf is the wings, and they're fluttering around the throne room of God, and they're crying out, holy, 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 right? And the words of the Holy One are speaking from the throne, and their wings are fluttering and flapping, and they're bringing forth the words, which is the pay. So we've got the fluttering movement of the words, And then we've got the pei, which is the mouth. So they're fluttering around and they're moving the air, and those words are moving. The words of God are moving over what? The resh. The resh is the head of man, the center. So you think of the throne room, the words of the Holy One are being proclaimed over, and the movement of the wings are pushing them onto the head of man. And that is the basis for atonement. It is his words coming over and covering over us and saturating us with his presence, with who he is. And it changes us forever and ever and ever. And that word picture just came to me real quick when you were saying that. I'm like, wow, isn't it beautiful how the Hebrew like takes us through a little movie of what God is doing in the midst of it all. He is filling in your cracks. He's pouring his words over you, saturating all those broken, fragmented pieces that are within you, within me, and redeeming us, pulling us up and out of where we have been sitting, where we have been. He is redeeming us. He is atoning for us with who he is. And man, talk about redemption story. That is what is happening here.
Oh, so
And
good.
Joseph is just gathering. You realize that Joseph is gathering the nations. He wouldn't have been able to do that if he had not gone through the process of the pitch being poured upon him and filling in those scriptures. It doesn't mean that he was perfect, and none of us are perfect. It doesn't mean he was perfect. It means he was recognizing what God was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the intent of what God was doing, he was focused with that. And we know that because of what he says to his brothers. Stop. Everything you think that what you did was because of what your agenda was. This was God's agenda. He had to get me here. I wouldn't have come here on my own. He had to get me here. And he did. And that's why we know that he was in alignment with the Holy One, that even though he was wearing Egyptian clothing, living in an Egyptian place, married to an Egyptian woman, ruling an Egyptian country, he was a Hebrew. He was walking with God in the midst of it all, which I love that about what you said today, Charlie. Is like this season right now, we might find ourselves in some big Egyptian places, and it's okay, because sometimes that is exactly where we need to be, is in the midst of the Egypt, not taking on the Egypt, not compromising, but standing in the midst of Egypt and being a beacon light. And that doesn't necessarily mean with our words, but with our actions. How do
With
we
love.
love in the midst of
Love.
Egypt?
Yes. How do we love? How do we bring redemption? If he's lifted up, he'll draw all
That's
men
it.
and women unto him. So how are you lifting him up? Maybe you did a little post about your menorah for Hanukkah on your Facebook post and that you lifted him up. But in the middle of things, are you lifting him up, or is it your words that are louder than lifting him up? And thank you for all the comments that are over here. They're just beautiful. And yes, I just want to say, Pietra says, yes, Kathy, there were times that I was scared because I didn't want to deal with the disappointment of the dreams not coming true. So I'd rather be numb to dreams and expectations. I love it. Misty says that the Torah is taught putting honey on the lips of the children. You have dreams, ladies, and I know that he's spoken dreams over you. There's stuff that's stirring up inside of you, and it's time to stand up and ask him, do I need maturity in this? What needs to be corrected? How do I need this how do I fix the dream? Remember, this is the time when part of it is part of the word, it has the letter lamed in it, which means that part of that word means that it's a safe place though, but he might need to inspect, and you might need to have some things corrected, or maybe you're running off the cliff and he needs to grab your hook and say, that's not the direction. What in your dreams, it's a safe place. Get in there and let him guide you, direct you, and raise you up, because I need you. I need you to walk in your calling. We need you to walk in your calling, because I am not complete until we're all one, until we're all functioning the way that we're supposed to function, I'm missing out. Brenda's missing out. Kathy, Pietra, Nitsa, we're missing out. We're missing out if you're not doing what you're called to do, the dreams that have been put in you. What nations are you going to save? How do you bring unification to the nations, to the body? How are you bringing unification? Because he's not calling us to division. He's calling us to unification. And I'm excited about that. So you guys be blessed. Letting you guys know that we are taking 2 weeks off. Brenda and I are going on vacation for 2 weeks. We're doing some planning. I've got lots of planning and conferences and skill development time. And so we're taking 2 weeks off to be able to do that, to get ready for 2021. We have lots of things happening in the cafe. We have a summit at the end of September. Halisa will be at our summit. We have amazing
January.
January. What's my date? What's my name? Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
January. The end of January. What did I say?
Well, September. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's all good.
The end of January, end of every quarter, we will be putting on summits. There is no charge for those summits. You can buy a pass, or they're free if you're in the cafe. You can watch all the replays and have a podcast. But we got that to plan. We got fun things to plan. So we will miss you. Please get into the honey, get the honey on, get that covering, get in there, get into the word. And we'll be excited to see you back on the 8th? January 8th. We'll be back in here. We will pop in and say hi to you because we just love you. We can't stand it.
Yes, absolutely. We can't stand it. We can't be gone that long.
We'll be back on the 8th. We'll be popping in there. If you're in the cafe, Brenda will still be hopping in on Tuesday Talk.
Yes, I will.
So you'll be still having her over there. So we'll get to see you. It's a good time to go catch up if you want to go listen to some old episodes. Again, at the end of this month, the cafe will go the half off goes away the end of this month. And so yay, that'll be done.
Talk to your friends, let them know.
This is a good time. And we do have a thing over there also. If you you buy 10 months, you get 2 free. So it's $24.95. And you can do 10 and get 2 free, or you can pay every month, and you get the first one half off right now. So it's exciting. There's a lot in there. It's so much to tell. I don't even know how. We'll have to do a video on just what's in the cafe because people don't know. It's hard to see, but we love you guys.
Well, we really do love you, and we are going to miss you these next 2 weeks. We were grieving over not doing the Friday portion, but the thing is, it's a working vacation, but we also need to have time set aside for our families. We need to be able to do that as well as plan for the upcoming year. And there's a lot of work to be done. So I love that you said it's a vacation, Charlie. Really?
Yeah, right. So if you guys know, I am a taskmaster. I mean, yeah.
She is. Oh, did I say that out loud? That was my inner voice. I'm sorry.
You were like shaking away. She was like, yes, she is. So if you were on my team, Misty's in there, Misty. And I think that poor Sydney, she's gone. Yeah, I crack the whip. So we gotta get things planned. We got stuff to do. So please pray for us. That's how you can help. For those of you who say, like, how can we help you guys? You guys pour into us. You do so much stuff. How can I help? Prayer. That's all we need. Please. I mean, because that does everything. If you would just put us on a list, that you bring our names back to the forefront of the Holy One's throne, that means the world to us. Protecting our families, that'd be amazing. So thank you all for that.
Yes. So. Yeah. And we'll, like Charlie said, we'll pop on, we'll do some lives. We'll jump on live on location whenever we can and check in with you and make sure y'all are doing good and give you some proof of life.
Yes.
I'm going to need it. You need to pray for me.
She sends me a message, proof of life. So you guys, in true Hebrew form, I'm going to pray at the end. No, I'm just kidding. We'll get religious. Father, thank you. Thank you for this moment. Thank you that you, let the words that came out, anything that wasn't you, please put an axe to the root of it and don't let anyone remember it. And that doesn't take root. And please, Father, I thank you. I thank you for the blessings that you're sending out. I thank you for the dreams that you're reviving and restoring in each one of these women. I thank you that the areas that they were hurt and they were offended are now seen, Father, as a part of the process. It's the part of the redemptive process. It's a part of them maturing in the gifts that you're giving them. And I pray right now, Father, that they would begin to thank you for those hard times. Thank you for those offenses. Thank you, Father. And thank you, Father, for the opportunities to go back to the man for each one of them, the opportunities to go back and make teshuvah, the opportunities for them to walk in the fullness of what you have for their lives. Thank you, Father, that you've allowed us to be a community of unification so that we represent your body and we're going to be all operating in the gifts you've called us to. Father, I ask now that you bless these women. Father, I ask that you keep them. I ask that you turn your face, cup their little faces in your hands, and that you just shine your face into their face. I thank you for the wholeness, Father, that you will be pouring into their hearts this week. And the mortar, as your word, as your spirit pours over and brings healing and shalom to their lives and their hearts and their families. Amen. All right. We're going out, but we'll see everyone. If you are on Facebook and you want to jump in, it is not too late. You can jump in for the after party. Love you guys.